Looks like you lost another one.
Welcome to the summer showcase. Me and Randy got a little carried away pre-show off air about just, I guess, discussing ELF action and stuff, and realized we should probably be doing this live. So here we are. Sorry for the late jump, everybody. I'm Michael Washington. I got Randy Schrader with me again, as becoming pretty norm over the last few months or so, which has been awesome to have him on. And Randy, thank you for coming back, man.
I love it. I love talking some ELF with you. I appreciate you having me as a regular on.
Well, I mean, I appreciate you being here. I mean, it's awesome seeing a former player's perspective and, who's played in the league and getting, some insight to some things that apparently I miss, such as Paris. And we'll get to that topic a little bit later and how you kind of made me eat my words indirectly heading into the week. But I don't know. I just think it's hilarious that I was so wrong. But let's let's jump into it. Obviously, this is the show where we cover the last week's action heading into week 11. Week 10 started off with VFR and Throners against the Warclaw Panthers. This was everybody's favorite upset, or whatever you want to say. It may not have been an upset at one point in time. Anybody who covers the ELF pretty much picked the Throners to win this game. The Panthers are playing without a quarterback. Josiah Norwood, who is an import wide receiver, was playing the quarterback position. And the Panthers looked like a whole different team when they didn't have to throw the ball. They absolutely destroyed the Throners this game, 62-12. This shocked me. I know they have the best one of the 1-2 punches at Adams and Brzezowski at wide running back, but 62 points, and I know the Throners coming off a 2-game win streak, like they haven't been a top-notch team per se, like a top half of this league, but I don't think anybody expected this outcome.
I certainly didn't expect the Panthers to win by 50 points. I don't think anybody predicted that. So surprising for sure, and it just showed maybe the Panthers are better than we're giving them credit for. I know they're playing the Throners, and maybe I think we all wanted the Throners to be good. We all wanted the Throners to take that next step, and we all wanted to cheer for the underdogs. I know I said a couple weeks ago, like, I just love cheering for the Throners. I love watching them play. You find yourself rooting for them. But I think the Panthers came into that game with a lot to prove. And proved it. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of come together going forward, because they have a better team. I think you as a Panthers fan, they have a better team than what they've played this year and what they've shown us.
Yeah, I think anybody would definitely agree with that. As far as the Panthers are concerned. It's just been, I think it's just what was just surprising about this was the highest output point total wise for the Panthers this season, and they didn't have a quarterback. And it's not like they've had a slew of bad quarterbacks come through. I mean, Stephen Duncan's played pretty well for Madrid. John Urbe had been there before. Matthew Vitelli in his one game, before he had to step away. Like, it's not like Vitelli is a bad quarterback, and I mean, not that I want to use the term bad quarterback, because I don't think there's truly any like bad quarterbacks per se as far as this league is concerned, just some that just don't click in certain spots. But it was surprising just to see this. And I mean, Matt Cole, Norwood, those two looked like they have been, I don't know, playing football together since they were in elementary school, basically. Like, it was crazy. They were having fun out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jamal, thanks for being on
Yeah,
as always. And he's absolutely right that it was a very basic game plan for the Panthers. And that's why I'm saying I think it showed just how good of a roster they actually have.
yeah.
That they just lined up and they just beat the crap out of the Enthroners, for a lack of a better term. They just ran the ball right down their throat. They have better athletes. They have a better team than what they've kind of showed this year, and they had something to prove.
Well, I think the biggest thing that was surprised about this was, we're talking, you know, a head coaching change again, no quarterback, a wide receiver playing the position, even as a basic game plan. It was like the execution was insane coming off of a brand new head coach. That was a short week and all this and everything else. So I thought that was actually kind of what surprised me more than anything else in that sense. So kudos to the Panthers. I agree with you. I think we've had a better team than what we've seen. They had a very, very tough schedule, and a lot of that schedule was, you know, them getting beat up pretty tough at the beginning half of the year, and I think the wheels just fell off, and some front office decisions were pretty hastily made, and this it just feels like this franchise has been behind the eight ball for most of the season.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. The season for the Panthers has been nothing but turmoil, like you said. And it was good to see them come out with a win. I was hopeful for a closer game. And I think the Enthroners kind of pulled the veil over all of our eyes here. We got
Yeah.
oh, it cut out. There we go. I'm back.
No, you're back. I thought I just saw a flash in behind your in your window there. Do you guys got like storms in the area?
Yeah, we'll see how long this lasts here. I got some thunder, lightning, some rain going on in the background here. So
Okay.
the power's going in and out. We'll see how this goes. But yeah, the Enthroners were probably, we got a little too enthralled with the Enthroners, and it was maybe like putting makeup on a pig there a little bit, and the makeup all kind of makeup kind of came off in Poland, and that's the Enthroners we're used to seeing. But hopefully they bounce back.
Makeup on a pig, something I haven't heard since high school. I love it. That's awesome. Going old school, Randy here. Going old
Yep.
school with that. Yeah. The next game on the slate was a game that I think it was much closer than we all expected, if I remember correctly, and that was the Vienna Vikings against the Prague Lions. And we discussed heading on to air that I felt that a lot of the games were kind of this week because it wasn't really competitive for a 4-quarter period for most of the games. However, you did point out, and I will give you credit on this, that a majority of these games were actually fairly close earlier than later on, and I think that that's just a talent, disparity. The way that it works out. This was one of those games where Prague had the lead at the end of the first quarter, so it's not like that they were not playing competitively at the beginning of the game. It's just the second quarter kind of fell apart on them, and Vienna then opened it up and never really looked back in that sense. Prague looked pretty good though overall, like considering. What were your takeaways on this game?
Yeah, that Vienna still has probably the most, or I don't know. Vienna, it's tough for me between Vienna, the Surge, and the Fire, who has the most complete team. But it's hard to not watch Vienna, and you could make an argument for them having the most complete team, and I felt like that showed. I felt like the when you get into late in the season, like we are now, week 10, you can start looking past some teams. So Vienna probably came into this game thinking we're going to beat up on Prague, and they find themselves down after the first quarter.
Mm.
And then they kicked it into high gear. And I just think that Vienna, uh, who wants to play Vienna right now? I I don't know. I don't know if I want to play Vienna right now. Not if they play like they did in the last 3 quarters. And they put on a clinic for about 2 quarters there against Prague.
Mm.
So I don't think that Prague is going to compete against the top teams anytime soon. Do you think? Here's the question: do you think they will get their first win, their first legitimate win in the league this season?
I think this season might be tough, but what I will say is though is they're still playing their hearts out, which I love to see. Like we talked about it with the Enthroners last week. We talked about it with Helvetic, in the past. I like seeing these teams still continuing to perform. Like it was at the 9-7 range at the end of the first quarter, and Prague was excited on the sidelines. Like I think that they understood that there was a chance that this game might get out of hand, but I think the the realism of it for them just to be up 9-7, I think that they had some confidence that they were kind of showing like, hey, we're playing our hearts out, we're balling. I would love to see Prague get their first win. I thought Anthony Perkins actually probably looked the best he's looked since he's come over
Yeah.
in this game, and that was a 4-quarter in this game. It's just the rest of the team just obviously did not match up with Vienna well enough. Um, I would like to say yes. I think that they could, but I don't know much about the rest of their schedule. They got Munich next week. They do have the Enthroners in 2 weeks, so that might be their best option. Is in week 12. I do not believe. I don't see, and then I think they close with Warclaw. So out of those games remaining, I would say that VRFR is probably going to be their best option in 2 weeks to get the win. So, um, as much as I like the Enthroners, they already have their win. So I would like to see Prague get their first win for sure as a franchise this year.
Yeah, I could see them winning that game, and I hope they do get that first win in the ELF. But it's good to see them. Like I know the score doesn't reflect how well they played in the first quarter, and how, like you said, they came ready to play. They didn't just lay down for Vienna. So, yeah, I like Prague too, Jamal. It's a nice place. Is definitely a cool place. It's not on anyone's bucket list, but it is amazing. And Jamal, what is the name of? I can Google it too, but they have these amazing ice cream cones that's got it's like fried ice cream cones with like ice cream inside of it. It's amazing. I don't know. You gotta have it while you're in Prague. And now I want to go back to Prague just to eat one of those.
Just eat one of those things.
For that reason, I hope they get one more. I hope they get their first win. But no, it was good to see them come out and play the way they did at the beginning of the game. But I kind of want to, at this point of the season, I almost wonder if it's too long of a season. I don't know. I want to get to the playoffs because I feel like we kind of already know who the best teams in this league are. But
yeah,
that's probably another conversation. But
well, I think we got some matchups coming up that can kind of really level some of this out too. That, I mean, not very many left, but there are definitely some left for sure. One of those teams that's going to definitely be Turtlenecks. Turtlenecks.
Yes,
Turtlenecks.
Jamal. Yeah, thank you. They're awesome.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Now you and Jamal are both going to want to go back to Prague, so you guys can have one.
I know, Michael. You need to open up your own little
Turtleneck store.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
In Maine, there you'll kill it.
I'll have to learn how to make them so I can do it, and then Jamal can just come visit me instead of having to go to Prague. Same with you, Randy. You can come up to North Carolina, visit me up here. I'll make some turtlenecks for you guys.
Heck yeah, I'll take an East Coast trip for one of those for sure.
And Jamal did say, he just said that you guys can change the lines. We can change the lines, Randy.
For sure. I 100% subscribe to that.
Yeah. And you know that I will be there for both of you as well if that's the case. One of those teams that we know is going to make the playoffs, the Stuttgart Surge, basically had I don't want to say a bye week, but I mean, let's be honest. As much as Barcelona, all the turmoil that's happened this year, again, just want to make sure that it's stated that kudos to the Barcelona players for going out there and playing these games. Kudos for them getting some film, going out and playing their hearts out because they are still playing tough. It's just an unfortunate circumstance what's been going on in Barcelona this year. However, 71-7 is ugly as far as aesthetics are concerned in this league, but Stuttgart just kind of keeps trucking along. And with the way the league's set up for point differential or points for being the tiebreaker, I don't fault Stuttgart for scoring 71. It just kind of sucks to see that happen so much, though.
Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on this game, but
yeah,
Jamal is absolutely right. My
Yep.
takeaway, and I didn't get to watch these games live because I was on my cruise for my anniversary. But I went back when I watched the highlights.
Mm.
It I didn't think Surge played their best game, at least offensively. It just looked a little out of sync's the wrong word, but maybe just not as crisp as they have been in certain games. And I know it's tough getting yourself ready to go to play, in Barcelona when you think you're going to win by 70 anyway. So I understand that. But what I get, yeah, sluggish. That's exactly.
Sluggish. Great word. Yep.
Just looks sluggish, even though you look at the box score and you're like 71-7. But I I get worried for this team when you look at their remaining schedule. They got Milano, they have Trio, then they have Barcelona again, and then they have Helvetic, and then they got to go in the playoffs. And it's just an interesting. Uh, I don't know. I don't know if the Surge, if that's the schedule you want to have going into the playoffs, you got to be playing kind of the best teams and your best ball. Just something to keep out an eye out for as the season concludes. I do think they have the players and the coaches and everything that they're not gonna kind of look past the rest of their schedule and take the foot off the pedal. But that's just something that if I were on that team, I would be keeping an eye out for.
Yeah. No, we don't need to spend ton more time on this. I wanted to really quickly apologize to our unofficial producer Jamal. I forgot to shout him out last week. I will not forget to shout him out later on at the end of the show. And I wanted to give a shout out real quick to Aaron Ellis, who just liked our tweet as well. Former guest on the show. Aaron is actually playing in the X League in Japan. I believe it's the X League, anyways. And if you can hit up their little game pass that they have and support him as well and support that league, because that league is no slouch over there in Japan by any means. So Aaron, shout out to you if you're listening. I saw you like the tweet, so I just wanted to give you a quick shout out. We didn't get the interview in before you left, but hopefully when you get back, or if you get a chance while you're over there, we can hook something up. So as well. The next game was a disappointment for me. Not because I didn't pick Madrid to win. I did pick Madrid to win this game, but a 37-0 victory over Cologne was not what I was expecting coming off of what we've been seeing from Cologne. This game, unfortunately, was never truly close. However, Madrid only had 2 quarters really of play. It was the first quarter and the third quarter, and that was about it. The second and fourth were kind of not so pretty. This Madrid team is very, very close. They're right on that cusp of the playoff marker. But with quarters where you're not putting together 4 quarters like that, this team is not going to last in the playoffs if they make it there. So, what
No,
are your thoughts on that?
my thoughts are that they have a championship level or very high caliber playoff level defense, and I still am on the fence about their offensive production. Like you said, they just go dormant for a little bit, and they aren't firing on all cylinders all the time, which you can't do, like we saw last week against Paris, right? Or a team like the Rhine Fire. So that's where I get a little bit concerned for this team. However, that defense is good.
It's
I
very
know
good.
Ray Woodard, the defensive coordinator over there. We were texting after the game, and he was just saying how he's like, we had Isaiah Weed confused all day long,
Yep.
and they did. You could tell on third down they were dialing up a lot of different pressure looks. He threw 4 picks, and that's just it was good defense. It was good coaching. On the offensive side of the ball, though, do they have a championship level team? And I think right now I don't feel confident saying that.
Well, I don't know what the resident quarterback here is going to say about this question. For me, I can tell you what the difference is. And I think it's success and experience in this league. And I think it's also the fact that Helbig is your definition of a how to put this without making it seem like it's an insult. He's a safer floor of a player, not as high as a ceiling as Duncan, but I think he's a safer floor. So he stays within the confines of the offense, where Duncan has a tendency to kind of uh, improvise and tends to somewhat maybe try to force things to happen when they don't need to happen. We've talked about it numerous times, or at least I've mentioned it because it's something that I've noticed. Is when he's playing some of the top teams in the league and they start falling behind, he kind of tends to force things, and I know that that's not within the offensive scheme of what Madrid does. Whereas Helbig would just be like, "Let's trust this system; it's going to work." That's kind of how I feel. I don't know how you feel from a quarterback standpoint.
I feel the exact same way. We were talking about this last week. Is that when you're playing quarterback and you know you have such a great defense on the other side of the ball, it takes so much pressure off of you when you know, hey, I got to put up 20 points and we're going to win this game. I don't need to go out there and force things. We get into a third and not a favorable situation. We get third and 6, 7, 8 plus. I don't need to take a shot down the field. We can live to play another drive. And that's sometimes what I think the difference is consistency. It's just
Mm,
consistency. It's just a little up and down with Steven Duncan. Um, and I think he's very talented. I
yes,
think
me too.
if they put it together, they can beat any team in the league. They've shown that. They beat the Rhine Fire. But it's just, can they be consistent on offense going down the stretch, and can they trust their defense? Because that's how they're going to win games. They can't, but what they can't do is put their defense in a position like they did last week against Paris.
Yeah, and playing fantasy football, I use the terminology floor and ceiling a lot, and I'm sure it's used in football in real life football a lot as well. But for me, like what makes Helbig so good is he's comfortable staying within the confines of what he does, right? Like he knows his strengths, he knows his weaknesses, and he's never really the type that's going to go out of his way to try to do something more than that, right? Whereas Duncan's ceiling is like, and I think Duncan's going to be a very good quarterback in this league if he sticks with it. Like I really honestly do. It's just he needs to clean up some of the mistakes, and I think he understands that his ceiling is higher or that he is capable of more, and I think he pushes it too much sometimes. And that's kind of where I feel there's the difference between Helbig and Duncan in this offensive scheme, because it's not needed. Like you were saying, when you have a great defense on the other side, it takes the pressure off. But I still feel like Duncan just is expects more from himself, and then that's where you get the the disconnect from.
I think that's a great. The last thing you said there, expects more of himself. It's like he's out there. Sometimes maybe he's putting too much pressure on himself.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, just stay in the confines of your coaching, and know what you have on the other side of the ball too. I can't stress that enough. You know that most of the time, we always said, like, when you have such a good defense like that, you kind of, what you say is, we always want to end a drive in a kick,
yep,
whether that's a punt or an extra point or a field goal. When you have a defense that is that good, that's all you need to do.
yep, yeah. Um, and for the Cologne side, I won't spend a ton of time with that one. I Jamal said it was a horrible game plan. They got away from it, but to be honest with you, Jamal, 14-0 at the end of the first. They may have just gone into panic, knowing that this team's not built to play from behind, and it just may have been the thing where like Randy said, it was just they confused Isaiah, throughout the process of the game, and I just don't think they ever truly recovered from it. So uh, I expect more from Cologne moving forward. I think they're still a very good team. It's just Madrid really just took them out of their game early, and I just don't think their game plan was ever able to get going from there. So um, Paris and Rhine. Now, you made an interesting point last week about Paris's offense. I made the point that this team is probably their defense is their strength. They gave up 38 to Rhine, but this was a prime example of why a good defense is your or your best offense is a good defense, right? Like because Paris couldn't stay off the field defensively because the offense couldn't stay on the field at all, and it showed up. It hurt. and they got blown out in this game, and this game was never truly close.
No. And I don't want to say like I told you so. I won't say
You
it.
absolutely have every right to say that to me. Like,
Uh,
you can pat yourself on the back and take a victory lap, Randy. It's okay.
no, I wanted it to be a closer game than it was. I thought that it was going to be a two score more game, but I didn't think it was going to be 38-6. So I want to get that straight. I didn't predict that. Um, I am not surprised though that the Rhine Fire looked like the superior team out there. And just watching the clips that I saw, it's been my gripe with Paris from the beginning. Is you watch the Rhine Fire and they're mixing up their their pre-snap motions. They're getting into condensed formations. They're shifting in and out of things. If you saw the first two touchdowns that Clark threw, they were the same exact plays. They just lined up a little bit differently, but it was the same route, kind of in the same area of the field, and Paris couldn't stop it. Then also on offense, you compare that with Paris's offense. They literally just lined up in 2-by-2 spread, 11 personnel, 3-by-1, whatever. Like there's no creativity. It's Zach, go win us the game. That's it. Late in the game, they lined up in a 2-by-2, a 2-by-2. They ran a fade and out and a double slant on the back end. That's what we ran in high school and middle school. You know, there's no, hey, I know I'm getting man on the backside, so let's motion to a 2-by-2. Let's do a little return motion. Let's kind of maybe run some sort of a rub, pick, whatever. Nothing. It just there's a lack of creativity when I watch Paris, and it's because it's so predicated on Zach, go win us the game, and that's been my gripe with them all season long. So hopefully they can change that going forward, and they're going to have to if they want to compete against the best teams in the league like this, because I really don't think that they, for me now, are in that tier of Rhine Fire, Stuttgart Surge, Vienna Vikings.
Yeah, and Jadrian, I agree. Jadrian did have his best game all year, and it came at the right time against the top defense in the league. And but this goes to show that a great defense can only do so much if the offense is not matching its efforts, right? And um, yeah, it really stood out how basic this offense was, Randy. And I didn't see it earlier in the year, and I don't know if it's just because they played so well defensively that it kind of masked everything. But it was very, very simplistic across the board. It was not. They didn't do anything to necessarily try to confuse this Rhine defense, and maybe the Rhine defense was just so good that it ended up just taking that out of the game because of the game flow. But uh, this Rhine team is very similar to this Vienna team right now, and they're both extremely scary. And I don't really know who wants to play who in this game. In this league right now, and I'm not sure anybody is lining up to play Rhine at this moment in time because they are hitting their they're hitting their stride at the right time.
Yep, they're hitting their stride. Their coaching for me is just a clinic. To see, I mean, you can tell that they had a game plan for Paris since the last time they played, and I don't know. It was just like that. I think that double move, little RPO that they had, it was like a 60-yard touchdown pass. I mean, that's something. That's something that you've worked on since you played Paris for a while. So that you kind of knew what you were going to get in that certain look. It just looked to me like superior. They had superior athletes and coaching, and yeah, not really surprised by the outcome there in Dusseldorf.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned coaching because I didn't want to steal your thunder and use it, even though because you're the one that's been, saying it, all along that coaching in this league is a huge benefit and a huge advantage when you have really good coaching. And I think it was pretty clear in this game that not only was this a talent, I don't want to say necessarily a mismatch, but a talent advantage for Ryan. It was also a coaching advantage for Ryan as well. So Um, yeah, I mean, kudos to you for pointing that out as well. The next game was an odd game to watch. Munich had all this hype coming into the season. There's a couple of games that you're kind of looking at them going, eh. Then there's other games that you're kind of going like, that's the Munich team that we expected, but it seems it's coming from teams that they should be beating. This is one of those games. But then on the flip side, a Milano team that's been struggling all year, they switch quarterbacks. I don't think anybody thinks or believes that the quarterback was the issue, for the most part for Milano this year. They give up 30, even though they weren't ever in trouble because they scored 69, but they gave up 30 to Milano. Why does this defense seem to be struggling so bad in stopping people?
I think there is something to be said. It is hard to prep for a quarterback that you have 5 days to prep for, or 6 days or 4 days, however long it was. I think that has a little bit to do with it. But yeah, it was weird, right, to see Milan go out there and put up 30 kind of relatively easy, especially against a team like Munich. It was just a weird game. 99 points scored, and the score difference was 39 points.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's just it was a weird game. What my takeaway from it was, Malik Stanley's really good at football.
Oh, he's very good
And
at football.
going forward, I played against him when I was in the league. One of my good friends played quarterback down there at South Alabama, and he was his teammate for a little bit. So I remember when I played against him, I was just like, man, this guy's amazing. And my biggest takeaway from it was that if him and Chad Jeffries can get on the same page for the rest of the season, like they were, against the Seamen, then that's going to be dangerous for some teams.
Mm.
And I would like, for the sake of the league and competitiveness, I was happy to see that going forward.
I mean, the thing with Munich is they got, Prague and they have Barcelona as their next two games. So we talked about the schedule, for Stuttgart being a thing. Munich is on the cusp on the outside looking in as far as the playoffs are concerned. But yeah, this is it. Yeah, this is a great. The last two games, 26.5 points per game they're giving up. It just, it concerns me because their schedule isn't getting like they're not. I don't think they have any other tough teams coming up. I think that it's the last game of the year against T-Roll. I think they, that's really going to be a testament, a test for them. Is it similar to Stuttgart for you, where you worry about this schedule being so, quote unquote soft down the stretch, like for a team that might be making the playoffs?
Possibly, but I think for this team, that's what they need. I don't think that this team is a championship contending team, obviously this year. But what they do have is a chance to make the playoffs, and so for them, you're looking at going into that T-roll game potentially with a playoff spot on the line. Probably the winner of that game is going to go on to make the playoffs, I think, as it's shaping out right now. And I think we've been saying that actually since, I don't know, 1 or 2 months. So I think it's different. I think for Munich, I'm not too worried about it. I think for them, it's just setting up that last game, and then you're in playoff mode. I think for the Surge, where I was saying I was concerned with them, is just you feel like you have a championship level team, and when you're not playing those tough games week in, week out for a month and a half before you then go gear up and play in the playoffs, that can be tough. But for Munich, it's just they just got to get in the dance somehow, and if that's playing Barcelona and some other teams, then it is what it is. I'm not too worried about it. I think at this time right now, the Raiders are probably a better team still. I would still take them if they were playing right now, but I do think it would be a good game.
Yeah. Speaking of the Raiders, they were actually in a pretty tough game against Helvetic, the Mercenaries. I think at halftime this game was 28-25, I believe. 28-25, and Helvetic just never quite recovered in the second half. but still held this Raiders team to 14 points. Now, for me, my biggest takeaway from this T-roll game has been N'Kosi Perry, right? Like I've said it since he's come on. He just still has not felt like he's put together a very good 4-quarter game in this league yet. I feel like he's been bailed out in some capacity, whether it's been his defense or big plays by his running back. Banyati's had been pretty sensational. In a league that's had some really good running back performances this year, Banyati has been kind of very, very solid and kind of lost in translation, right? Like a ton of people aren't really talking about him, but he's really been kind of the motor for this offense this year. And I don't know how you feel about it, but it feels like N'Kosi isn't going to lead this team to a championship game if he can't find a way to put 4 quarters together.
Yeah, it's kind of it's weird. You can't put your finger on what it is that they struggle with in the passing game. I think Aaron touched on it. Aaron Ellis a couple weeks ago. He just said, the Raiders are a run-first football team. They want to establish the run, and Bonatti is so good at doing that. But it's like when they have to go to the air, especially in third down, that's when you see all these mistakes happening. I mean, the pick six that he threw had to have driven you nuts, Michael, as an offensive line guy. Like the left tackle, this is where I just don't understand. Like you get a 4-man rush, and it's just a base 4-man rush. There's no blitz. There's nothing. The left tackle steps down and blocks the 3 technique and lets the defensive end run free, and kills Perry as he throws the ball. So I don't know. I don't know if that's coaching. I don't know if that's N'Kosi not making the right call at the line of scrimmage. I would think that no matter what protection they had on there, the running back was free. So it was a 5-man protection. I don't know of any 5-man protection that's hey, let's leave a defensive end free unless we're sprinting. But it wasn't that. So it's just weird. Like something doesn't click in the passing game with them.
Yeah, that sack, I actually had to rewind it because I had to see if it was just the tackle just got beat or if the tackle just didn't make a play, and he just didn't make a play. And if you look, it wasn't a slide protection. Like nobody else slid. It was literally just the tackle that did that, and it made zero sense to me. I don't know if it was just like you said, if it was N'Kosi and him just not on the same page communication wise, or he thought N'Kosi said something and I don't know. However, those are the mistakes that are going to cost this T-roll team down the stretch against these better teams if they can't find a way to get on the same page with that stuff. So
yeah, it's tough to watch. Like you see them, they have so much potential, and it's just they just shoot themselves in the foot. So that's where I think they have a better team than Munich right now. But that's going to be a good game in a couple weeks, probably for a playoff spot. And I agree with Jamal Helvetic, and I know Jamal is Helvetic's #1 cheerleader. So, but I agree with them. You're talking about Switzerland has some good football and some good football players, and they get the right management in place, the right imports. They can be dangerous. They can compete. I believe that.
Yeah, I believe it too. And DeAndre Clayton, and again, this might be a very similar to this might be very similar to the my theory on backup quarterback play, right? Like when a quarterback gets hurt in the league and a backup quarterback comes in that is in like an NFL CFL type of scenario, defenses tend to struggle against them if they stay within the confines of their system, right? Like that's just the way that works. It almost feels like that for this league, it's bringing quarterbacks in and having no or very limited film to be able to watch on a guy, right? Like Milano, you mentioned it about Salem, right? But Salem is an older quarterback. He's been playing in Italy, so there's film on him. It's just where can you find that film, right? So it feels the same way with DeAndre Clayton in this situation. Like, this was 28-25 at halftime. Like, I don't like the Raiders just made some really good adjustments in the second half, and they scored 14 points and held Helvetic to 3, which that feels like a coaching thing, right? Like, that's just the adjustments at the halftime. But 28-25 is impressive for a guy who just showed up, 5 days earlier. So
Yeah.
I agree with Helvetic. As soon as I become the GM, it will be much better. And I mean, no, as much as I would love it,
Did we just have breaking news?
Breaking news, yeah. As much as I would love it, Jamal, maybe you should apply for the GM spot over there, Jamal. I think you'd be a good GM.
Yeah, come on, Jamal.
For sure, yeah. Come on, Jamal. I think you got this. I mean, I can't imagine the Helvetic's any worse than Portland, Maine. Trust me. I'm from Maine. I can make that joke.
Hey, Zurich is beautiful. Zurich is beautiful.
Yeah, see, you got this, Jamal. I mean, I don't want to lose you as my unofficial producer because I think you're awesome and you made corrections for me as I'm still going through this. But he says he trusts Jeremy. Okay, well then I trust Jeremy too. If he's your guy.
Is Jeremy Bryson he's the GM?
No, player operations.
Player operations. Okay. I trust Jeremy too. He was with me at the Surge. I didn't know he was the GM. I thought he was just player operations. I didn't know he was that high up. Then then the Jeremy since
GM.
He's the new GM?
He's the new GM. That's what Jamal just said.
What?
Yeah, he's the new GM. That's what Jamal just said. By the way, everybody in the background, that is Randy's wife. Say hello.
Sorry, yeah.
No, it's fine.
Jeremy, you guys, I could tell. Yeah, Jeremy literally saved our lives in Stuttgart. I mean, that dude is the man. I could go on. I could probably tell like a whole day of Jeremy Bryson stories. But he is a great guy. So okay. I'm happy to hear that. I did not know that.
Yeah, so if Jamal and Randy trust him and like him, then he's got my support as well. Even though I'm a nobody, he still got my support. So I trust him too. Randy is now a cheerleader of Helvetic. So apparently he has joined.
Certainly am. I'm gonna
joined your squad.
Yep. Picking Helvetic to cover like you every week now from here on out.
Here's the thing. So if Helvetic doesn't cover for the rest of if Helvetic doesn't cover in their games for the rest of the year, both of you are going to have to come on, or you, Randy, will have to come on. You have to bring pom-poms, and Jamal has to have pom-poms on for his show at some point in time if they don't cover.
If they don't cover both, so they just need to cover any of the games.
They just cover any of the games. If they don't cover any of the other games, they just have to cover one. That's it.
We'll do that. Yeah, I mean they
look at Randy. Yeah, I got this.
We'll cover.
I just wanted to see if you guys would do it. I don't really. I like Helvetic, so I don't. I liked them when they were the guards.
It's very bold of you to assume that I have pom poms at my house, but
I assumed that your wife is probably a former cheerleader, so I thought maybe she might. So
nope, she was not.
Oh, she was not. Oh, okay.
We gotta have pom poms somewhere, I think.
Well, I mean, I shouldn't assume that. That's a terrible assumption, but I mean, it seems to be the classic case of meeting, so I just figured.
We'll do it. We'll find pom poms. I don't know. They got a tough schedule coming up, but
let's see. They have Vienna next week, and then looks like they have a bye week the following week. So I don't know what it is after that. I haven't looked. I didn't pull it up, but
they got Vienna, then they got Munich, and then they got Stuttgart. So
okay. All right. Well, they might be able to cover against Munich with the way we've seen with Munich's defense lately. So
that's true, and they covered. Possible. Hey, they only lost to the Vienna Vikings by 9 a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's true. When hey Jamal, if you're still with us there and you're not taking a break real quick there, when did Jeremy become the new GM? Is it going to go into effect next year, or is it already happened?
I literally texted with him a week or two ago, and so now I'm going to message him right now and say.
I'm just curious that if he became the GM, if this team suddenly, like, if the Vienna game was, the fire, like it was like a fire lit, lit under him or something. I was just curious. I didn't know if it was already into effect or not. So, Frankfurt and Hamburg. This game was a game that I think was the game of the week as far as competitiveness was concerned, and it it was close for a good chunk of the game. I thought maybe Hamburg might pull it out, but too late. Pick sixes kind of put that to bed. I don't remember. I don't think anybody picked Frankfurt. I think we all picked Hamburg in this game.
I think I picked Frankfurt.
Did you pick? I'm going to pull it up right now. I forgot that I had it actually written down. So, yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Oh, and I did too. Actually, I picked Frankfurt 25-24. So
there we go.
Yeah. Hey.
I don't think I was alone on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a close game. It really was till 5-6 minutes left in the fourth quarter when you had Hamburg throw 2 late picks. But it was a good game, and watching it, it was actually kind of enjoyable from a quarterback's perspective because whatever camera angle they had, you could see all 22 on the field, which was kind of cool. So I'm a big fan of that. But I thought McKay played well. That was cool to see for Frankfurt. And it just looked, I don't know, whenever Hamburg plays, just kind of nostalgic. It just kind of brings back some NFL Europe vibes. The stadium is cool. There's a bunch of fans there. It looked like a good atmosphere, and the game was good. So I don't think, unfortunately, I wish one of these teams or both of these teams were competing for a playoff spot. But I think at this point, if you're a fan of either of these teams, especially Frankfurt, there's a lot of noise around the head coach and whether or not he's going to be there next year. And that's maybe a whole different conversation, but you got to be a little bit hopeful for what 2025 looks like, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I think both these teams are a situation where they're just a couple decisions away from being a team that can make a playoff push. Right. Yeah. Frankfurt last year was like that. Hamburg, I actually think this Hamburg team, despite their record, might be more balanced than they were last year, personally. I think that they had a good team last year, or a solid team last year, but I just feel that they've had a really tough schedule this year. And, it just never really got off on the right foot under Javarian, even though I don't think Javarian was really the main issue with the team. I think they've got some things to build on, and in Frankfurt definitely, for sure. This is interesting. This is true. They could be. I mean, Matthew McKay is kind of auditioning, so right. McKay's with Frankfurt.
I would be shocked if they brought Zaraka back.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. McKay's played pretty well for him since taking over, so maybe this was an audition for McKay to be the guy next year.
I would love to see that.
Me too. I think McKay's played well enough that I think that you could possibly bring him back next year for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. We are going to get into our ELF predictions. Like I said, we started a little bit later, so this show is kind of running a little bit later than normal. Thank you for everybody that's joined in and stuck around for a little ELF talk. And, of course, Jamal, thank you for retaking up the mantle of being my unofficial producer, because I love it. Let's hear from our quick sponsor, and then when we get it's only 6 games this week, so it's a very short slate, so we can crank these out and get some scores in here.
This is Current. It's the card my parents used to pay me for mowing the lawn, running errands, and doing well in school. This is the card I used when we got the idea to make our own clothes. And we spread the word, drove downtown, and sold everything we made. This is the card I use to do the things that really matter. This is Current. Visit current.com and download the app for free today.
And we're back. Go ahead and hit Current up. Use your Current card to purchase some beautiful hardware or what? I don't think it's be hardware. What would it be? Yeah, maybe hardware. No, it would be accessories. We'll use the word accessories. Accessories from Randy's wife on her business page as well. Shameless plug for the Schrader family because she's putting in work over there. So go support her.
She's sitting next to me rhinestoning her football right now.
Yeah, see? I feel like catching a rhinestone football probably would not be the best.
They're heavy.
Caleb Williams had a picture of it during the draft.
Yeah,
it wasn't mine.
They're heavy.
Can you throw one, Randy?
Oh, it's like it's kind of like throwing a waterlogged football. That's exactly what it's like.
So you shot put the thing basically then.
Yep, very much shot put it.
Yeah,
tuck it and run.
I shot putted for a living. I don't know if that or for a living. I wish for a living. That'd be awesome. No, I shot putted for a little bit in high school and stuff. So that shouldn't come as a surprise being a bigger guy. But my form was awful. My form was so bad, Randy. My shot put coach used to make fun of me because my form was so bad. He's like, you finished third in the state, but you probably could have won by a large margin if your form was better.
Were you just like, this is how I know how to throw it, so I'm not really gonna change up what I'm doing?
Yeah, so I happen to have the benefit of competing against a guy who was training for the Olympics in the state, and he was going to try to make it to the Olympic team. So he had like the spin and all that stuff, like the Olympic spin and all that. And I was just a straight, like, I'm just going to kick back and just, do a kickback and that's it. But I was so upright. I was just bent on bent at the waist, and like my knee was like no power from my knee at all. And everything was just all upper body. So there was no leg power at all in it. And I was like, I'm just going to protect my legs for football season. I was like, I don't care about the shot put. I'm not going anywhere with it. I'm not training for the Olympics. So like, and I threw my personal best at states, actually at UMO, Jamal, and finished on the podium, which was kind of nice. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was all upper body though. Nothing with legs. If I had any type of leg power behind it, I probably would beat him. Probably threw further than him. So
yeah, as I was say, it just sounds you're just a natural athlete. Then you're just.
I not so much anymore, but maybe back then, yes. Definitely not so much anymore. No.
Yeah, you could have been an Olympian.
I don't know if I wanted to go through that regimen of. I mean, have you seen some of those guys? They dedicate their life to that. Like, I wasn't throwing barrels for a living, so there was no beefiness to it. But yeah, I threw a pretty good distance. It's just I think I was only 3 feet behind what he was throwing at, and he was setting all kinds of main records with his throws and whatever. But I was only like 3 feet behind him. That was all upper body, so.
And you weren't even really like trained. He probably had like private coaches.
He did.
Yeah. And you're just like you just kind of show up to the track like I'm ready to go. Let's go throw a ball around.
And he didn't play any other. He didn't do any other sport. That's literally all that he did. He tried playing football, and we pretty much put him on his back every play, so he quit.
There you go.
So he just ended up being like, well, I care about shot put anyways. I'm going to be an Olympian, and then never made the Olympic team. So anyways, that's a cool little story on there for you guys about the Olympics and shot putting rhinestone footballs. Yes, yes, Jamal, go Black Bears is right. I'm excited for the season. Fingers crossed. All right, well, let's get into it. We have 6 games that are for week 11. And we opened up with Vienna, who I think is a lot of people's inside their top 3 of favorites that can win the championship this year, if not top 2. Taking on the Mercenaries. Jamal, did they cover? I don't know what the spread is, but do they cover?
We need to know the spread now. Is he here for this whole pom-pom?
I don't know if he was. I think he put Randy as now a cheerleader of Helvetic and then just stepped away from the show for a minute. So I don't know.
Yeah, he like set everything on fire and then just stepped away while we had a whole conversation about cheerleading and pom-poms and so yeah, I guess I need to know the spread to see if they cover, but I have a feeling this isn't going to be as close as the last game. I'd love it to be, but I'm going to take Vienna 45, Helvetic 20.
45-20. In a game that may be closer than we expected. That's actually not a bad score. That's actually a pretty good score. I like that score. I'm going to steal it. No, I'm not going to steal it. I had this game 42-23. Vienna. I feel like this game could end up. It's plus 21, and he actually says they don't cover this time. We both have them covering, and he actually says they don't cover this time. Jamal, you're over 64. Yeah, I can see over 64, but
no, you have them covering. I do not have.
No,
them.
You do not have them covering. I do have them covering.
Yeah, so you have Michael has them covered. Well, I hope that I'm wrong then, so we don't have to bust out our pom poms here.
Jamal probably doesn't even have pom poms, to be honest with you. I can't imagine that he does.
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't think they're gonna cover.
They to be honest with you, they may not. I'm just thinking this might be a thing where they end up, I don't know, late field goal. Maybe reverse psychology. He's going for the reverse psychology, and then put a hashtag trust Jeremy. Okay, well, there you have it. Reverse psychology.
Here we go. What did you say? You're shook. Yeah, Jamal, when was Jeremy? We were asking you this. I think you stepped away. When was he officially named the GM? That's my biggest question right now.
That's a really good question. We'll see if he throws it up in there in the chat. All right, the Hamburg Sea Devils. They travel to Madrid to take on the Bravos in this game.
This is an interesting one. You don't think so? You think Madrid's gonna blow them out?
It's just with the way that the trend of Steven Duncan in Madrid has been, as far as like teams that they should beat versus teams that they should be competitive against, it's been always fairly lopsided in the Steven Duncan team's manner. When it's teams that they should be competitive with, it's not so much. I don't know if Hamburg's there yet, so I'm just curious what your thoughts are on this.
Yeah, I think Madrid wins, but I think that it's low scoring and somewhat close. So give me Madrid. Let's go Madrid 23 and Hamburg 13.
Okay, 10-point game. I don't think it's going to be as close personally. I think Madrid has a good enough team that they might open this up a little bit. Just from a standpoint of just from a standpoint of talent level on this defense, I think 13 is a good number for Hamburg, but I think it's going to be 32-13. But basically just flip-flopped your score, but I think Madrid can hit 30s in this one with a solid defensive play, and I think Duncan has a pretty good game to put them over the top over Hamburg. So that's where I'm going to go with there. The Stuttgart Surge against the Milano Seamen, and before we do that, he said June 25th was the director of sports technically, but he is in, and then he said he's the guy recruiting and signing guys going forward. Hashtag my GM. Just got to throw that hat. I don't know if that's going to catch on, Jamal, but we can do it. We can start doing a hashtag, my GM up here.
Well, yeah, thanks for the insider information there, Jamal.
So yeah. So
I just texted him and said, "Congrats on being the GM." So hopefully that's right. Like that's right though.
Right. Well,
we'll see what he says. I'll have news next week for you guys on what he responds. Congrats to Jeremy. Yeah, there we go.
had to throw that up there for you.
I love it. He's a good guy. Good
No, I
guy.
believe it. I believe it. I believe it. The Stuttgart Surge and the Milano Seaman in this one.
Ooh, so here's the question. Does Milan take this momentum? Does the Surge keep regressing from their game in Barcelona and Milan come out with an upset here? No, I'm just kidding. I'm trying to sell the way I can here. It's not a great slate in my opinion. So hopefully of games this week. So hopefully they're close because I think last week I got a little too excited about how good the games potentially were going to be.
Me too.
But I think that the Surge win by 4+ scores. Give me the Surge. Let's go Surge 53 and Milano 15.
15. That's a interesting score. I'm very curious if that's a scoregami. So I follow the ELF scoregami guy on Twitter, and I think it's awesome to see what scores. Some of them surprising that they haven't been done before. And he's like, "That's a scoregami," and it's like 23-4 or 23-5, and I'm like, "That doesn't like. How do you get what?" It's crazy. It's crazy. There was one score that was like a typical NFL score. I think it was like 37-17, and he was like, "That's a scoregami," and I'm like, "I know the league's only 4 years old, but that score literally has never popped up." Like I was shocked. So,
Yep.
53-15. That definitely could be a scoregami. I think Stuttgart drops 61 in this game, and I don't know if Milano gets over 12. So I'm going to say 61-12. I would like to hope that they're going to have the momentum after scoring 30 last week against Munich. I just think this is a defensive team in the Surge that's on a much different level than the Ravens. So I don't know if Milano has enough to be able to keep up with them. I hope so, just because I like watching close games. But unfortunately, I don't think that that's going to be the case here. But speaking of close games, the Galaxy at the Centaurans. I know the Centaurans got shut out last week against Madrid, but this is still a very solid team across the board. And the Galaxy had a tough one, for 3 quarters or 3.5 quarters against the Sea Devils. Is this potentially going to be the close game of the week here?
I thought that with the Madrid Cologne game, and it didn't end up being right. So, I hope Cologne bounces back, but Cologne has been like that kind of all year, right? Where they go play the Rhine Fire and they lose by 40 points. But they have flashes where they play them close, for a few drives in a row. So hopefully they all put it together, Frankfurt and Cologne, and put together a good game. The last time these two teams played, I went on here and said that I thought it was the best, just pure football game that I had watched in the ELF in a long time.
Yes.
So give me Frankfurt to come back and win this game to get their revenge on Cologne. But I'm hoping for it to be close. Give me Frankfurt 31 and Cologne 26.
31-26. I'm on the opposite end. I think Cologne actually bounces back this week. I think that last week, I think they were expecting it, or hopefully hoping for that game to be closer. I think Isaiah Weed is able to get off to a better start this week. I don't think Frankfurt's defense is as good as they've been in past seasons, and I don't think that they've improved much either over the course of the season. So I'm going to take Cologne in this game. I think it's still going to be close, but I'm going to say 22-27 Cologne. So Isaiah Weed's kind of won me over a little bit. I know he had a rough game last week, but fingers crossed they can do it again. Paris is on the road again. They had a big win against Madrid to start off. Then they kind of put up a dunce against Rhine. This week they take on Berlin, a team that is not in that upper echelon of the league, but still a team that can give you fits if you underestimate them. With this Paris offense, Are you expecting another dud of a performance here?
I'm not expecting another dud of a performance, but this does have the potential to be a good game. The last time these two teams played, Paris won by 1 score. So, and Berlin had the ball late with a chance to tie that game and put it into overtime. I think Paris wins this game. I think they bounce back from the game in Dusseldorf. The only thing that gives me pause here is Berlin is coming off of a bye week, and Paris has got this tough kind of run of away games here, and a third away game in a row. That's tough. So this one is really tough for me, and Jamal thinks that Berlin's going to win. Interesting. I don't know. This one is very, very tough for me. I'm going to go Paris, and I don't feel good about it. I'm going to go Paris 32 and Berlin 23.
This game is interesting because it's the top defense, because Paris still has the top defense despite what happened last week, taking on one of the best offenses. Now, Berlin obviously has had a lot of their offensive scores come against teams that are in the bottom half of the league. So how much of that is actually the offense? But Sullivan tends to find a way to score. 2 weeks ago, though, they only scored 6 points, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. So I don't know, man. This is tough. I think Paris's defense is going to be the difference in this game. But I think Berlin still finds some success. I don't know if they're going to win this. Paris is favored 1.5 points on the road, so that's actually closer than I expected. And the over/under is 58. Man, I don't know if I could take the over on that one. I'm going to say under, because this Paris offense has not been very good, and with Paris's defense, I think they can stifle Berlin a little bit. And I'm going to take Paris minus the 1.5. If I was a betting man. So, Randy, take that into consideration. I mean, you have it covered anyways. So, I'm going to say 25-19. 25-19 Paris. I think Paris wins this one. So, yeah. I think this Paris defense is just good enough to make a difference in this game. I think it's going to be tough sledding for Berlin. And the game that closed out the week, the Ravens against the Lions in Prague. Oh, I wanted to mention something real quick, too, because Cologne, where are they playing this week? I think it was Cologne that didn't have, like, tickets on sale right now or something, because something about the stadium, or they weren't sure where the game was being played. I'm in a Discord, and I don't follow it as much because they just like to go in there and talk a bunch of shit. So I usually try to weed it out. But I did see somebody say something about no tickets on sale for the Cologne game because they don't know where they're being played, I think. Or there's no stadium listed.
That's not good. I'm looking up Ticketmaster right now.
I'll see if I could try to find the post real quick. I meant to mention it.
Yeah, no tickets available for sale on our website.
Yeah.
It says it's at their regular home stadium. But that's not good. So, I mean, unless it's sold out. But I highly doubt that's the case. Well, it's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the post was, will the Cologne game take place in week 11? Nobody knows where it is, and there are no tickets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's not good.
Somebody said, as far as I'm concerned, the game takes place at Stadion in Cologne. At least that's what they told him some time ago, supposedly. Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Well, doesn't seem like a good omen for Cologne.
I mentioned a couple weeks ago how their fan engagement online is, they've dipped down to like the worst in the league, and they have like no engagement at all. So, not good at all. So
No, interesting. I did not know that. I can't find anything about it, but
What did I tell you before in the podcast?
What?
I said they need to dissolve.
Caroline thinks they don't deserve to be in the league. So
oh,
she said, "What did I tell you before this started? They need to drop out of the league." All right, that's
replace them with the crocodiles.
Yeah, replace him with the crocodiles.
Only if Martin's there.
She said only if Martin Hanselman is the head coach.
Okay, there we go. All right, what about the Ravens and Lions?
Ravens, give me them to win by. This is interesting. What if the Lions come out and play well like they did against Vienna in the first quarter? And Jamal's laughing at the Martin Hanselman joke.
Yeah. Are you really going to try to make this seem like this is going to be a game? I want Prague to win their first game, but I mean, come on. You think that there's going to be something here?
I'm saying, what if Prague comes out and plays like they did against Vienna, and Munich has a down game? I could see Munich winning by. Give me Munich 43 and Prague 21. I'm just saying I think that Prague scores some points, and it's a little more fireworks than what I thought. I don't think it's gonna be like 42 to 0.
So you set all of that up just to go have them lose by 22.
Yeah, because I think at the end of the first quarter, it's like 10 to 3. At the end of the first half, the ELF is posted on their official Instagram like, we have ourselves a game, and then it's not. That's what I'm saying. I think it's a game that's not a game.
That's the most long-winded game that's not going to be a game ever in the history of anything. And I'm pretty long-winded, so I know all about that. 54-18, Ravens. I don't think it's going to be close. I think Munich is. I think that they have the. If the teams were quarterback, the Munich Ravens is Steven Duncan. So basically, when it comes to teams that they should beat, they go out there and they don't worry about the defense because the offense just lights up the scoreboard. I think Malik Stanley probably goes for 200. I don't know if that's a prop bet. That's a prop bet I would take.
I would probably take that too. At least he's probably over under 2 touchdowns. Yeah, Chad Jeffries 7 touchdowns. So you guys think it's gonna be a blowout like that? I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know if he'll go for 7, but I mean, they don't have much of a run. Oh, I mean, they got a nice little running back over there, so I don't know. We'll see.
Look, I'm just trying to make it. This week to me on paper looks really boring. I'm gonna be honest with you. It doesn't look good. So I'm trying to hype up this week. I got Vienna playing the Mercenaries. I got the Surge playing the Seamen. I got the Ravens playing Prague. So hopefully some of these games can be close. What did you say? Paris is playing Berlin.
Maybe Chris will have 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, Chris Vombo.
Yeah,
can have 4 touchdowns. That's what my wife wants, is for Chris to have 4 touchdowns.
I made a jacket for his girlfriend in 2022.
Yep.
Prague can't cover the Black Panthers. Hey, congratulations to the Black Panthers, by the way. They're champions.
Yeah.
So congratulations to them as well. See, we follow everything here on the Shady Sports Network.
I don't know how Michael has time to sleep, but yes. He does it.
I watched some of that game too. It's hard though because there's no commentary in those games, so it's like I don't know the players that well enough to be like, yeah, that person scored a touchdown. But congratulations to the Black Panthers, anyways. The score lines work, so at least I know who they were. When they were scoring touchdowns. Yeah. So congratulations to them either way. So
yep. Congrats.
I'll sleep when I'm dead, Randy. That's just the way that I look at it. I'll sleep when I'm dead. My kids are growing to the point where they can sleep. They can wake up on their own. They don't wake me up in the middle of the night anymore. So
Yeah.
I can get my 4-hour power nap in and be okay.
Yeah, you're past that stage.
Yeah. I mean, I might die of exhaustion once in a while, but whatever.
Yeah. Take a little power nap, like you said. We're back in it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Like, well,
Hopefully, man, hopefully it's a good week of football. Like I said, I didn't get to watch any of the games live, and it'd be good to see some good games. The league needs it. So
Jamal apparently is trying to rein in Tyreek Hill's number. Maybe try to pull up a Nick Cannon going on here. No, I'm just kidding. 3 under 3.
3 under 3. Yeah, that's a lot.
Don't say God bless me. Maybe it's God bless you, Jamal. Whew, that's
That's a lot. That's a
Yeah.
lot going on.
Just wait till they're all teenagers. You'll love that one, Jamal. Don't worry. I got 3 that will be teenagers all at the same time,
Ugh,
and they're all girls. So
I'm terrified for that.
yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, it's over as last Thursday. If you know, you know. Okay, I see. All right. All right. Yeah.
Congrats.
It's like congrats on that. All right. Well, hey, Randy, you want to give any shout outs or anything to anybody? Shameless plugs, maybe your wife's business or.
This quickly turned into another show.
Yeah, I know, right?
No, we have one, Jamal. We have one. I want to have at least 3. Any shout outs? My wife, CK's Customs. Go check her out. Use Current to go buy some of her apparel. What else is going on? Do we have anything going on?
Or moving. No.
A shout out to us moving. Anything else you want to give a shout out to?
No.
I have my in-house producer as well. This is my wife.
Yeah.
Nope, we're good. So
Okay.
I appreciate you having me on as always. Big shout out to Jamal, always coming in clutch here with the information and keeping things keeping us on track. So I appreciate it.
Always keeping us on track. And I do want to Randy talking to his agent, shout out to CK. No doubt, yeah.
He is my agent, that is for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I want to give some quick shout outs. I want to give a shout out to obviously Jamal. Follow him on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. Athletes Forum on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button for him. And shout out to him for being an unofficial producer for the show. Euroball Chow on X as well. Fourth Down Pod on X as well. And Justin Keim. Give him a shout out. He follows and tries to do what he can to cover all the football leagues, especially in Europe too. Give him a shout out on X as well. And I'm sure I'm missing a few people. Rhine Fire News has popped in occasionally, so shout out to them as well. Go follow them on X as well. I just wanted to give everybody that's covering European football and ELF give them a like. Randy. He has zero social media presence of his own. So, but give him a like, give him a shout out. I don't know. He's frozen. I might have lost him. And Shady Sports Network. Oh, there he is. I gotta see the smile there.
I'm here. Yep.
Oh, what were you mannequinning yourself? You just looked like you were just stone faced. I thought I would at least get a smile about the no social media presence.
After I said that, it did freeze up on me then. So.
Oh, okay. Shout out to the Shady Sports Network. Sam, again, thank you again for the platform covering everything. Summer Showcase, ELF News. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the little note dingy to get the notifications. Download Current, use Current, and go get yourself a nice custom little bag or football or something from CK Customs. Until next week, I'm Michael Washington. He's Randy Schrader, and have a good night.